The door led into the cable car station. Nico looked calm. When didn't Nico look calm? Where do you think we should go?
I think we might get some answers inside the cable car station.
It was locked. There was a keypad, but I didn't know the code. Where do you think we should go?
I think we might...
But the door's...
Then we'd better find...
Glass canopies sparkled in the sun. Would have been a pain to clean those. The building looked very new. It must have been modernized recently. It was one of those tourist telescopes that usually charge a fortune. Something inside the cable car was glinting. I couldn't make out what it was. My God! Nico!
What is it?
This telescope! It's free! Wait, what's that? That rock looks familiar. Nico, take a look at this and tell me what you see.
You're right. That rock looks like a head.
I've seen that shape before. Take a look at this. The face in the Ouroboros, it's exactly the same shape as that rock.
That can't be a coincidence.
And you know what? Langham's got the forged picture, the one without the face.
So the rock won't have meant anything to him.
Nico, I don't think the tabula's up at the monastery. I think it's down there somewhere, around that rock. It was the other station for the cable cars. There was a small chapel perched on the edge of the cliff. It looked ancient. There was a small... There were a couple of people stuck in the cable car. They looked kind of familiar. Then I realized it was my old friends Dwayne and Pearl Henderson. The Hendersons had an uncanny way of showing up wherever I went. They didn't know I'd seen them. I needed to give them a signal. They didn't know I'd seen. The cable and wheel mechanism looked sturdy enough, but the thought of riding in that tiny cable car made my stomach flutter. I signaled back to Pearl. I couldn't make out if there was any response. Pearl seemed to be writing something on the window. It said, "Help, Stuck. Door code 0797. I wondered how Pearl came to know that. Come on, Nico. Pearl's giving me the code to the door.
What? Pearl? Who? How?
Trust me, Nico. I've got friends in low-hanging places. Huh. There's no one here.
Looks like everything has been shut down.
Help!
Poor Nico. I had dragged her into danger again. The cable cars were scheduled to run all day. There was a big lever on the console. Intriguing. I've always loved levers. Looked like a small closet. There was no lock, but the door wouldn't open.
Go away!
Hello?
George? There's someone in there.
Are you all right in there?
Just go away.
Wait, please. We mean you no harm. Please, come out.
I'm staying right here until I know it's safe.
Wait, please.
I'm staying.
The huge cogs were part of the cable car mechanism. They looked very powerful. There was a large console in the corner. I guessed it operated the cable cars. The control panel looked complicated. It wasn't powered up, and the smell of burnt electrical components hung ominously in the air. The cogs turned, but the rest of the mechanism didn't seem to be engaging. The control panel looked complicated. It wasn't powered up. The cables were suspended in a huge contraption that ran the cable cars up and down. The wheels were part of the cable car mechanism. There was a metal box on the floor. A metal lunchbox. Someone sure wanted to keep their cheese safe.
Hey, is anybody there?
Whoa! Did you hear that?
We're stuck in here. Help!
How about that, Nico? A talking lunchbox. Huh, what will they think of next? I better take it with me. No one was manning the counter. A talking lunch... With no key, I was going to have to find a way to break into it. The box was now wedged in the cogs, or rather, the giant can opener.
That's quite a mess you've made there, George.
You know what they say about making omelets, Nico?
You can't make them without strawberry jam?
Strawberry jam was smeared all over the machinery. Strawberry jam was smeared... just as I thought. It's a two-way radio.
Can anyone hear me?
Dwayne, this is George. George Stobart.
Holy cow, George, just the fella I need. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Dwayne. And don't you worry. I'll have you out of there in a minute.
You reckon you can get the cable car running again?
No, the console isn't working properly. I've got no idea why not.
George, this is Pearl. Get Kat to help you. She knows everything about that place.
Kat? Is she the girl in the closet?
Has she locked herself in? Oh, dear. Let me talk to her, darling.
Kat? I found you a friendly voice.
How do you know my name?
Kat, dear, it's me, Pearl.
Pearl? How did you get here? That's not possible.
Listen, darling, it really is me. But I'm talking on the radio. George here is a very decent guy, and you should open the door.
I'm not going to fall for that. Prove it's you.
All right. Remember we discovered we both love musicals?
Yeah? And my favourite one is?
How does it go now? Help out. I am the very model of a modern major general.
I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral.
I know the kings of England and I quote the fights historical.
From Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very good in integral and differential calculus.
I know the scientific names of beings and homunculus.
In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral.
I am the very model of a modern major general.
All right, only Pearl would know that, and I trust her. Who are you?
I'm George, and this is Nico. How did you end up in a closet?
There were some guys with guns. They took over the whole station. I hid in here.
We're trying to avoid them too.
I was quite surprised, you know. They never mentioned guns at the job interview.
Really? We need to use the cable car. Can you operate it?
Yeah, if the console was working, but they sabotaged it.
And there's no way to get it started?
There might be. Let me see. See that burned out fuse down there?
In the back by the prongs?
Yeah. The idiots stuck a spanner in there and blew the fuse. They wanted to make sure no one could use the cable cars. Connect those two prongs somehow, and the console should restart.
How on earth are we going to reach that?
I don't know. But don't stick your arm in there. You'll get fried.
The console had a hatch. I needed to avoid touching anything that could give me a shock. I needed to avoid touching anything that could give me a shock. I needed to avoid touching. I needed to electrically connect the two prongs to hotwire the console. The console looked. That wouldn't have worked. Trevor could help, but I couldn't just. I set him down at the edge where it was safe. I realized if Trevor could carry the paperclip, then he could hotwire the prongs. But the clip would fall off his back before he got there. The paperclip would do the trick, but I didn't want to just throw it in there. That wasn't... Not a snowball's chance. I realized, but... Trevor loved that cookie, but I wanted to make him... Go, Trevor, go! There had to be something missing. Never... I realized if Trevor could carry the... But... That... Well, it's... Cat looked at me like... Hi, it's Cat, isn't it?
Yeah, Cat D.
Catty. And you run the station?
No, this is just a summer job.
I have half a cookie if you're hungry.
I didn't get to eat my breakfast, but you know, I think I'll pass.
I didn't think she'd like... I didn't think she... Cat seemed all right, but I didn't think she'd... So, what do you do when you aren't locked in cupboards?
I'm a designer.
Oh, I knew a designer once. She...
George, we're in a bit of a hurry here.
Of course. I was just curious about Cat.
Yes, I bet.
How come you know about repairing consoles?
I like to know what I'm working with.
Got any ideas how I'm going to reach those prongs?
Don't you have something useful in your pocket?
Yep, most likely. So, what's down there?
There's a little chapel called Santa Cova.
Did those guys go down there too?
Nah, I think they settled for closing down the cable cars.
How do you know Pearl?
She and Dwayne came through here this morning.
You seem like old friends.
I know. It's almost as if I'd seen her before.
Any ideas on how to reach those prongs in the console?
Oh, if only we had some rubber gloves.
I should have asked Annette for hers.
Well, you can't take everything, George.
Nothing of interest in that. Well, I'd done stranger things in my life. The paperclip was now all sticky. I stuck the paperclip onto Trevor's back. He was now fully equipped. Go, Trevor, go! Poor Trevor looked like he needed therapy, but the console was working. The console, it's working.
Cool. I can send you down there if you want. Let me just bring the cable car up here.
Pearl and Dwayne are going to be mighty relieved.
Oh, they must have been going down in the other cable car.
Come on, Nico. There's no time to lose. As we got closer to the face in the rock, I knew for sure that we were on the right track. It was definitely the same as the face in the painting, but with one difference. The symbol of the tabula was missing from the rock formation. Well, here we are.
But no way to reach the face. Let's have a look around. There must be a way up. Georges was looking for a route to reach the face on the cliff. Have you spotted a route yet?
No, it looks like a pretty treacherous climb.
I'll keep looking. There must be another way. The chapel looked like it had been built into the cliff face itself. Georges, the chapel looks like it's been built right into the rock.
You're right. We should take a look inside.
I wonder, how old do you think the chapel is?
I'm guessing the exterior's a couple of 100 years old, but the inside? Who knows? Some parts could be much older.
You think somehow this chapel might be connected to the face in the rock?
At a guess, I would say so. Hey, look, it's Pearl and Dwayne.
Come on, honey bun. Things ain't that bad.
You just don't understand. Today's been a disaster.
But
The monastery was closed. We got stuck in the cable car. And now this place is a building site.
aw, sweetie pie.
This was supposed to be the spiritual highlight of our trip, Dwayne. But the only spirit I see is that rotten turpentine over there.
Aw, heck.
Clearly, the Hendersons weren't having a great vacation. Wood shavings. This was one building site that needed Mr. Tidy. They smelt exotic. Nico, what would I do without her? It was an old crank handle. The crank handle was connected to the candelabra. An old candelabra hung from the ceiling. A statue of the Madonna and Child watched over the chapel. An empty, coffee-stained mug had been left by the altar. A modern plaster altar had been built against the rock. Great to see you again, Mr. Henderson.
Great to see you too, George. Great work back there with the cable car.
Is Pearl okay?
I wish. I'm afraid we're having one of those days where everything goes wrong.
Tell me about it. What have you been up to since we last met in Quaramonte?
Well, there was that little sideshow in Rome, but we can't talk about that. You know why, George.
I do? I do.
Why?
Top secret.
Need to know, Nico. Dwayne is, snoozer.
Don't you mean a sleeper?
No way, honey. A snoozer's at least 2 pay grades up from a sleeper. So I hear. Anyway, I don't believe I've had the pleasure, Miss,
Nicole Collar. Call me Nico.
Well, how's about that? So this is the beautiful Nico. No wonder you've been hiding her away from me, Georgie boy.
Gosh, no,
It's lovely to finally meet you too, Mr. Henderson. George has told me so much about you.
Oh, call me Dwayne, my dear. And let me assure you of one thing. Everything you've heard is quite possibly true.
Dwayne was loud, large, and short-sighted, but boy, was he a charmer. Is there anything we can do for Pearl?
I sure as hell hope so, George. She's been planning and researching this trip for years, our little pilgrimage. And Santa Cova Chapel here was the cherry on the cake. Not a thing she don't know about this place. Madonna, blah, blah, blah. Chapel built in, yada, yada, yada. She's Santa Cova's very own walking encyclopedia. Well, weeping encyclopedia, I should say.
So what brings you to Santa Cova?
Pearl's idea from the get-go. Ever since the unfortunate car accident back home, she's been scouring those pilgrimage brochures. Gotta be full of wonder and life-changing imagery. Got to have penance potential. Got to offer a real spiritual experience.
Well, I'm sure this place will be very spiritual once it's finished.
If the chapel is not what she expected, how about the monastery?
Hot dog, no. That place is for tourists, not pilgrims.
You said she expected a spiritual experience?
No, that's what the brochure promised. Pilgrimages, little monk fellas, singing, shafts of light, the whole shebang.
Smells, bells, and heavenly lights.
Yeah, that's what the lady wanted. Oh, excuse me. Pearl needs me. There, dear.
Pearl could be a mine of information about the chapel if we could just cheer her up. Pearl.
Shh. She doesn't want to be disturbed.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, George.
I thought maybe a squirt of Brett might cheer her up.
Very considerate of you, George, but Pearl prefers a flowery scent.
I knew he probably wouldn't care. Dwayne wouldn't be interested. Dwayne.
Sorry, George.
He wouldn't. He probably wouldn't. He would. He probably. I was sure he didn't want to see it. He probably. I was. I didn't think. Good thing we had the radio.
In my line of work, I'm always prepared.
For what?
Well, thieves. I gotta protect my lunchbox somehow, George.
How you holding up?
Me? Pearl, on the other hand.
How's Pearl doing?
She's pretty upset, George.
Well, maybe she just needs a hug.
Is that the best you got? The last time she was in a mood like this, I tried the old hug routine.
Didn't go well?
I still have the scars, not just the mental ones.
What can you tell me about Santa Cova?
Well, Pearl's the expert. She knows everything there is.
Did you see the Black Madonna?
Oh, you betcha. She's the little lady we came to see, though Pearl's in too much of a state.
Hey, that tune you were whistling earlier, It sounded familiar.
No, it's Schubert's Ave Maria. In our courting days, me and Pearl used to hang out with the Campanology Society. It was Pearl's favorite. Oh, excuse me. There.
A paint can was hanging from a... It looked just like its neighbor. A paint can. It looked just like... It was a half-empty bottle of turpentine. Or, as I prefer to think of it, half full. A battered oil drum had been tucked into the scaffolding. It was rickety scaffolding cluttered with tools and supplies. The scaffolding was a little loose. Everything rattled. It made a surprisingly dulcet noise. A fire extinguisher, with all these lighted candles, seemed like a sensible precaution. It produced a dull sound when I rapped my knuckle against it. It was a spectacular... It produced a dull sound. It was a selection of tools. Can... But Pearl had already claimed this little oasis of spirituality as her own. I knew... The view over the valley... The hammer produced a promising sound. A.
What are you up to?
Look, I made a Churchenspiel. That sounded like an A. A. B, if I wasn't mistaken. G. G. Well, that was fun. Hey, Nico. So what did you mean by smells bell?
I'm talking about your...
Oh, I see. Any idea how old the chapel is?
That's what I asked you.
So we basically don't know anything.
That's the long and short of it, George.
I found a statue over there. A black Madonna.
Great. What did you find out about it?
That's all I got.
Well, it's not a lot to go on.
Poor Pearl.
She's in quite a state. If we're going to find the tabula, her knowledge is key.
So, all our hopes are pinned on an American tourist.
I pin my hopes on an American tourist all the time.
Got any ideas for smells?
Have you found any incense? Church smells don't get much more authentic than incense.
It wasn't exactly a note, but using the hammer was a great idea. G. That didn't sound right. B. Wrong. B. A. A. Well. My mother always said cleanliness is next to godliness. That wouldn't work. That wouldn't have worked. That. I lit the candles on the candelabra. I poured the turpentine into the paint can. The hammer produced a promising sound. F sharp. G. F sharp. G. B. A. Well, that was fun. I put the shavings in the mug. I lit the shavings. They smelled not completely unlike sandalwood. The shavings were slowly. The hammer produced. G. F sharp. G. B. A. G. I had it. It was the tune Dwayne was humming.
Georges, that's Ave Maria. Let me have a go.
Wow, you really nailed that, Nico.
Yep, this mop really is pretty special. Leave this to me.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey,
How you hold?
me, Pearl. She's wait, Pearl's favorite.
What?
No,
What can you?
she knows. Oh, there.
Pearl. Shh. Hi.
Hey,
Uh,
she's.
what?
No, it's Schubert. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Pearl needs me. There.
Nico? I found a.
Great.
Uh,
What
poor Pearl.
to find? Especially,
Hey,
maybe, but we're not going to.
what should I do about the lights?
I don't know. But the Black Madonna is the most exceptional relic here. Maybe we could highlight her somehow.
How come your Ave Maria sounds so much better than mine?
Catholic upbringing.
The Black Madonna was clearly the focal point of the chapel. The candelabra lit up the room, but it sure wasn't heavenly yet. It was tempting to get rid of all the, but you never know when you might need a potion to ward off unwilling. The Black Madonna was, it was a beautiful, nope. Decorating the candelabra with yarn was always fun at I rested the side mirror precariously on the candelabra. I rested the side. I secured the mirror in place with some yarn. That should do the trick. Now that was something. The light from the candelabra spilled over the Black Madonna like waves of spiritual goodness. I put the shavings in the mug. I lit the shavings. They smelled not completely unlike sandalwood. The shavings were slowly burning inside the mug. Hey, how do you like my light?
Then,
How come you're...
guys,
Pearl. Shh. Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, George. Oh, there.
Hey, Nico. What do you think of this hammer?
well,
You...
no, I'd have.
They didn't... I sprayed the shavings with Brett. The I put the scented shavings in the mug. I lit the scented shavings. A sweet aroma started to fill the room.
Pumpkin? Oh my!
What?
The sound of angels, the lights of heaven, the smell of piety, and
Yes.
the Madonna, I do believe. Tears. She's crying, Dwayne. The Madonna's crying. Little Timmy. Wrong side of the road. Not my fault. The broken leg. Compensation claim. Forgive me, poor Timmy.
Oh, Pearl, my precious. You're such a sensitive soul.
Well, now that's done. I feel my soul's floating on air. We can get on with our pilgrimage, Dwayne.
Just another 1,000 clicks to go.
Pearl was back to her usual cheery self. Pearl was back to her... Mrs. Henderson,
George, dear boy.
how you feeling?
Oh, just. I have just seen a.
I'm sure it is, Miss... So, Pearl, what have you been up to since we last met?
Well, George, I've been on a journey.
Oh, really? Well, what kind of journey?
A spiritual one. A journey along the road to enlightenment.
Wow. And is that what brought you here?
It is. Though Santa Cova is but one step on that road.
What's so special about Santa Cova?
It's an ancient and very holy place. I've spent the last year researching it, and I can truly say there is nothing I do not know about it.
I don't suppose you'd know anything about that rock out there?
No, only that for 1,000 years, people have claimed to see a face in its shapes.
Still, keeping busy, Dwayne?
Like the man said, George, that old kaleidoscope keeps getting shaken, and the pieces are ever in flux.
Guess it's your job to pick 'em up, huh?
Well, somebody has to do it, compadre.
I enjoyed talking to Dwayne, but I was rarely any the wiser afterwards. What can you tell me about the statue?
I read that the Black Madonna has been here since the 9th century. She's called the Virgin of Montserrat. Some say the original was moved to the cathedral. But Dwayne and I know that's just a bluff, don't we, honey?
We sure do. This one is the real McCoy.
What can you tell me about Santa Cova?
Well, dear, they call it the Chapel of the Holy Grotto. It was built directly into the mountain itself in 1696. It survived the Napoleonic Wars, mudslides, Civil War. But the chapel is still standing today. It's a miracle.
Or a restoration.
What was that, dear?
Yes, a miracle. Pearl, does this mean anything to you?
Oh, nothing, dear. Apart from the obvious Gnostic connotations, of course.
What?
You know, the Dominicans. All those Gnostic saints. Doubting Thomas, Judas. And you see the woman in the red cloak? The infamous Mary Magdalene herself.
A lady in red.
That's enough now, Dwayne. You know my feelings about her.
Pearl knew her Gnostic onions, all right.
Then there's the Ouroboros, of course.
Something special about it?
Well, if I remember rightly, there was an Ouroboros right here in this chapel. Back in the 30s and 40s, the chapel was renovated. The workmen uncovered numerous symbols carved in the rock. Amongst them was a fine Ouroboros.
But that's amazing. So, where is it?
Oh, it's not there now.
Oh,
It was considered blasphemous, so they plastered over it. Sweetheart, I think it's time for us to go. The road to enlightenment waits for no woman.
'Tis the pilgrim's lot, George.
It was so nice to see you again. And meet your girlfriend.
We're not.
Take this radio, Nico. Never know when you might need it. Keep an eye on our boy George here.
Poor little lost lamb.
I'm not.
Don't worry, this little lamb's in safe hands. Bon voyage.
Bye-bye, dears.
See ya. Nico, don't even start.
Little lamb?
Let's focus on the task in hand, shall we? Okay, this Ouroboros that Pearl mentioned.
You're right. We need to find it.
It was a stone carving, praying to the Madonna, probably. The wall here was made of bare rock. It looked like the chapel had been built right into it. That was never... There was a recess in the wall with a Latin word carved above it. Puritas, purity. I'd seen that word before somewhere. I needed a better... I hoped this was the right thing to do. Hey, Nico, I found the Ouroboros.
So what now?
Pearl was right. The plaster had covered an Ouroboros. I pushed the Ouroboros, but nothing happened. I held the medallion against the Ouroboros. Nothing happened. I held the medallion. I'd already found the Ouroboros. There was no need. I decided to exhaust my other options before. Hey, Nico. What do you think of the incense?
Smells
Just like church?
not quite, but it'll do.
Got any ideas?
If the Ouroboros represents hidden knowledge, maybe there's something else we need to do before it's revealed.
It was a Father Simeon had claimed that the building in the ring the priest was Saint. The dog-headed monk, Dominican, It was a castle of Castel de San. It was Jehovah, or the orb, the castle gate. It depicted Father Simeon had claimed the buildings and the figure of Lucifer watched Simeon's warning. The youthful figure it was a tower of The first passage read, "And thus spoke the accused. In this ritual we find succor, clad and look towards the clad in green, I wondered what it all. The second passage read, "And all shall know that the light of knowledge is blue and that the light of life is green. For thus was the light of Eden, both blue and green, intertwined with the light of man to become pure." Knowledge is blue and life is green. Well, that was good to know. I wondered what color was the light of man. The third passage read, "Pure light, white light, pure light will win." So it was written in the old texts, affirmed by the Tabula Veritatis. And these were the accused's last words. Interesting. There was more about light, and somehow the Tabula Veritatis had a connection. Simeon would have known what it all meant, but unfortunately, Simeon was dead. I already had a can. It was a crank can. That wouldn't